Okay, welcome to Open the Channel. Let's switch universes. Okay, there's a few of you here. Like I said, I was like all set. I literally like recalled Open Channel class last week, and then I jumped into don't even worry about what's happening over here. Okay, all right, we're gonna get present, and we're gonna shift a little bit, or I'm gonna shift a little bit, and let me kind of just chat with you guys for a minute and see where you are, see where this group is vibing. Well, I know all of you are kind of recalibrating from this full moon. I know that. This was probably one of the most intense full moons that you've had your entire experience. And you may not have felt it, you know, physically, maybe you did. But what this full moon was gifting us was to shine the light on like everything. So it's almost like you're walking in that room of hoarding, and it's time to clean it up. Okay. So this is kind of like when I go into trance, which I mean, I feel like I live there a lot now. What I'm seeing is imagine this. Imagine that for the first part of your life, up until about probably the beginning of this year is when you really started to feel it. Imagine that you have been at a circus or a festival. Okay. And it's almost like, if someone drags you to a state fair or a festival or something like that, no one ever really wants to go, or their inner child does, but then as soon as you see all the parking and all the people and how much everything costs, you're kind of like, ugh. But you go anyways because you've already, the little child in you or the children that you're with are super excited to eat a deep fried Twinkie. So you go, and the music's too loud and there's too much people, but you're there, you're invested, you're waiting in the lines. You kind of fall into the character actor of someone who is at a fair. So you go through the motions. And this is what the Matrix has been like for us. Okay, it's never something that we physically chose, but there's so much going on that we end up participating. Now imagine this: you wake up one morning and the circus festival state fair is gone. But and again, you're there. It's gone, but they didn't clean up any of the trash. There's trash everywhere. Imagine everywhere. And you're sitting there with a food baby, hungover from all the energy. You're hungover from what you ate. You're hungover from the adrenaline. You're hungover from everyone's energy, and you're the only one there. So just like get that scenario in your mind, because this is the state of being that is truly happening underneath the curtain. The matrix is gone. This is why the government has been shut down for the last 9 days. Now, that does not mean that the government in your universe is gone. That means that the mainframe story is gone. Okay. And if you've been doing your work, then you're going to feel like I said, you're going to feel kind of like there is the sense of motivation gone. All right. So I think they call this zoo-chosis. When animals start to realize that they're in a zoo, they start to go into deep depression, right? It's the same 3 meals a day. It's the same walk around the pen. And with time speeding up galactically, you're probably finding that you don't even have enough time to do the shiz that the matrix is telling you to do every day with no motivation to do it. like, you're like, I didn't even have enough time to do my zoo duties. Okay, let alone anything that I wanted to do. And you may even begin to notice that the things that you get really excited to do not feel as joyful. They do not feel as fun. There is a bored frequency because, especially this vibration, you all know everything's fake. You know, the money's fake, the food is fake, time is fake. Structures are fake, jobs are fake, 90% of your family is fake. So you are kind of sitting in there and like, what is my motivation here? Right? And what makes it kind of worse for the aftermath of this vibration is not only have you been in a zoo, but you had to pay to be there with your energy, with your time, with your currency, with your voice, with your efforts, with your body. So that's what I'm saying is the full moon is highlighting the hangover, okay? And it's almost like I have no motivation to work, like work. I'm not talking about this stuff. Okay. I'm not talking about anything that is actually who you are on a soul level. I am talking about anything that you have been obligated, motivated, or forced to do your entire life. See, when the circus is in town, they pump in a hypnosis that motivates you to be there. Just like when you walk up to the festival, the music and the smell of the food and all of the fun things you can win are motivating you to actually be there. And now, with the matrix gone, they've taken the hypnosis motivation with them. So you don't feel motivated to go and do, and yet you're still living in the same story, right? The job may still be there, or the bills may still be there, the body issue may still be there. And you're going, okay, like they left, but they didn't take this with them. But they took the motivation for you to keep doing it. Is anybody else feeling like that? Because I for sure have experienced that, like, especially last year. Like, this is kind of where I was last year. And, kind of like self talking to myself, Jess, you got to get up and like do this because you're still here, right? You still have to take care of these kids. You still have to make sure they eat, right? And as we're doing this, the food prices are rising and the mortgages are rising, and you're going, I have no motivation to do it. Like, I have no motivation to play the game. I have no motivation to go like win that stuffed animal that is worth 30 cents that's going to cost me $200. I have no motivation to eat the giant pickle. Like, I have no motivation. Where before it was like fun. If you look back 10, 15 years, all that nonsense was fun because you were actually under hypnosis for you to participate. You never actually liked it and you always knew it was fake. So the more and more, the further and further the timelines split, the less motivation for fakeness you will have. And that's the definition of authenticity, is when you are no longer motivated with the masses and you begin to participate in your own universe rather than going and doing what all of the animals do, right? And I've shared with you guys 100 times this story, and it's a book, and it's called Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. That's the name of the book, unless you put them in the zoo. See, when anything is in its natural habitat, in its natural frequency, in its natural flow state, it cannot vibrate the frequency of illness or death. It cannot. So death is a scam, illness is a scam, and it is a byproduct of living against your nature. And you are an eternal being with a supersuit. Okay? But when your supersuit is hijacked and hypnotized and programmed away from that natural state, then you're going to do anything and everything to fit in and go along with what is happening around you, right? It's almost like a false sense of stimulation and the sense to achieve something, achieves to get somewhere, achieve to, create something. Because for a long time, I know even me, like, I knew the matrix was fake and I still wanted to succeed in it. I knew money was a scam and I still wanted to make it. I still had motivation, even though I knew it was all fake. I still had the motivation to play the game because I thought that if I did who I am in the game, then somehow it would give me my own game. And that was never how it was designed to work. regardless of what your intentions were as a healer, practitioner, mother, father, friend in the game, if you were attempting to be yourself in that game, it didn't work for you long term. You had short-term success, which is called breadcrumbing and settling. You didn't actually succeed there, and because you were never designed to succeed there. You were designed to go in and basically get all of your senses blown out and, you know, lose everything and then begin again and do it over and over and over again. And think that you're actually getting somewhere. You're not. You're walking from, you know, like if you're in a festival or a state fair, you're walking from one booth to the next. And now it's almost like everything is gone that used to excite you. Everything is gone that used to motivate you, right? I can't think of one person that's actually doing their inner work right now that is motivated by some sort of false sense of success in the world of the system. Like, like none of us want to be near Hollywood or like famous anymore. Like, ooh, no, thank you. Okay, because we know what that means. And none of us actually want to make a lot of money because we know what that means. And so, where does that leave the us, the version of the ones that have been going without and learning how to go within? So, where I would say that, like, maybe this particular group is you guys are like in the middle of not seeing what is underneath all the trash yet. Okay. And exhausted from the ride, hung over from the matrix, disappointed that, you know, those hopes and dreams that you did have in that game you decided to play never panned out. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that you didn't receive anything, because many of you, your relationships are improving. Okay. Many of you, your health is improving. And many of you are getting creative. You know, your artist is blooming. Some of your architects are blooming. So it has been 100% worth it, because you have to experience what you don't want to know what you want. You have to live the other side of the idea of your true I am to truly generate enough desire, focus, intention to create it. So even though we're sitting in this, we're sitting in a body exhaustion, we're sitting in overwhelm, we're sitting in kind of just like our head is spinning, right? And we are very aware right now what is real and what is fake. I believe, from this group. And you are very drawn right now to nature. Okay. Nature is what makes you feel peace. It makes you feel calm. Even if before you didn't really care for nature, it's probably becoming your happy place on some level, you know, and nature can look like anything that vibrates with your true frequency. Okay. Which is infinite flow, life, love, connection, unity, right? Prosperity, joy. All right. But again, the level of joy that most of us can muster right now is probably not the kind of deep passion and excitement, but more of a joyful peace, or a joyful, like, being able to be more present in the moment, and being able to kind of like take a breath and that feels joyful, or, you know, checking on your plant and it's healthy and that gives you joy, or literally watching your kids again and it's giving you joy. So this is all good. It's all good. So the only thing that we actually have to do right now, as far as like this aftermath, is the exact same thing that you would do if you were hungover. All right. So I don't know what you guys do if you, and again, you could get hungover. I mean, I get hungover from energy work. So whether you get hungover from eating too much food, or being around too much people's energy, or, you know, running too much energy, or whatever it is, you've all felt it. And it's almost like exhaustion, flu-like symptoms, and a little bit of ick, like, oh, like almost like a bitter tummy. Okay. And if you've been doing more body work to kind of like work yourself back into your body, right? then you're kind of coming home to the mess, right? Because your whole entire field has been hijacked. So basically, what they did is they turned your field into the circus, and then they charged you for the experiences. And then now they're kind of like, bye, and they left, just like a parasite does. What does a parasite do when it dies? It leaves all its toxins and its babies. And so this is where we've got to kind of create a binder. And if you are hungover, your whole thought process is, I need to bind this. So you go eat greasy food, or you go eat something, or you go drink something. And again, this is kind of vibrationally where we are, our like fields are feeling. I'm not saying this is where your soul is, or even your thinking is, but this is probably how your body is feeling a little bit, where it's kind of like, whoa, you know. And this is kind of what direction I think that we could go today, is to really channel how to clean this up. Because one thing that I keep hearing in the collective is, no one is coming to save you. And I'm sorry, when your inner child hears that, it does not feel empowering. All right. You just served time in the zoo. It broke you and built you. It defined you, it stretched you, and now everything that your childhood was is gone. Movies, television, imprints, it's all gone. Like, there's nothing left. There's a sense of, I don't know what to do, right? Or what am I supposed to be doing? And that's perfect. Okay, and again, maybe some of you are feeling that way, maybe some of you are past that. You know, if you've already been doing the work, you're past that. But again, you probably can relate from some point in time. So how do we clean this mess up? Because you are here to save yourself. And the you that you have been working on, the savior inside of you, will save the other parts. So don't get it twisted when you hear that. No one's coming to save you. That nothing feels worse than hearing that. Even though, you know, your metaphysical spiritual training says, well, I know. That's not true. There has been a you in all of this that has never played along. So that you is going to be the one who holds and helps you through this. Okay. And now that I don't know if you guys have noticed, but if you've been looking in the sky for the past 9 days, if you're in the United States, there's no chemtrails for the last 9 days. So hopefully you've been outside breathing, right? So that's and whether it comes back online, and, you know, it will be different. It will be different. And the reason why is because no one is behind the veil hitting the switch anymore. So, what that means is that if we carry this feeling around, it's because we haven't stopped to recognize that this game is over, and that before we can get to the new game, we have to clean up the mess. All right. And the mess is not your fault whatsoever. But it's almost like, okay, all the trash in the world exists, and the Garden of Eden is underneath it. Because we realize that, like, unless especially if you started off more spiritual, then you're here to now anchor down and root down into the earth. And how you're going to clean this mess up is not by picking up trash, but by unpacking the destruction that has happened to your own field by being a part of this. No different than a night of partying, or too much eating, or too much socialization. That's the way it vibrationally feels. All right. And now some of you might be saying, I feel like this, so how am I supposed to utilize this full moon to make up my mind to create some sort of new motivation? And that you don't have to do that right now. Okay. So you've got to think of it like you're moving from one house to the next. Like, what am I taking? What am I leaving? And then there's a huge mess. We all know that. So, but this time you're not downsizing. This time you're upgrading. So again, the relationship that you have with your own ego, the relationship that you have with your inner child, the relationship you have with your divine feminine, your feeling state, and the relationship you have with your masculine is going to be what you're cleaning up. All right, because that is going to be your four corners. That is going to be your new matrix because your ego's coming with you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to be in physical reality. You're going to need a personal assistant, someone who's going to help you stay focused and grounded in the story that's like unpacking. But see, why we feel this lack of motivation to work or to grind or to hustle or to have anyone truly value what we do outside of us anymore is because when the circus left, right, and took the hypnosis of motivation away, that's what we could call ego death, which it's not. But see, because it was the ego that was under hypnosis. And so now your ego is going to feel very like withdrawn and feeling like I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, and like it's overwhelming to your ego right now. So the ego who has like been in control and like we're doing this and we're going here and we're manipulating that and we're going that, it's all different now for the ego. And so the one that's been in charge, your most of your life, since probably I would say a good 14 years old, that really solidifies, is going, I don't know, I don't even know who I am. Okay. And so then what's going to happen is it's going to be a change of positioning in your leadership, in your internal government, in your internal like perspective. Okay, so again, remember the ego always resides in need. The heart is going to be in the field of want, right? And your soul is going to reside in the frequency of I already am, it already is, satisfied, already enjoy, already at peace. So you are going to really want to decide here who is going to kind of step up and take the leadership. And this is why I think this is a good open the channel class. Complete different direction where we were going to go, but it's perfect. It always is. So as your soul starts to know who it is and know that it is here to be and not do, then the doing actually becomes fun because there will be some doing, but it's more about undoing. And it's more about that ego who is driving your vehicle is going to go from the, the driver's seat to the passenger seat. And then probably right now it's getting in the back seat because it's like, I don't know where we're going. None of this makes sense. I'm not motivated by fear anymore. Right? It's almost like I don't even care what happens. And so the strongest leadership you've had in a false reality has now stepped down. And you might be at this place where you're feeling like 1 minute you know what's going on, and the next minute you don't care, and the next minute you're completely overwhelmed, the next minute you're confused, and the next minute you're fine that you don't know. So you're probably all over the place because your whole field is reorganizing. Okay? Because your field is nature. Your universe is nature, and nature can reorganize very quickly when it's left alone. It knows exactly what to do to clean itself up, heal itself, and birth anything else it needs. And when you can kind of like let it be and then be motivated by the inspired action, which is going to take longer. Think about ego runs in instants. It runs in now because it is trying to change something of the past or get to a future. And that's where the sense of urgency has come in our fields through the ego's leadership. So ego represents the edging out God or edging God out, right? Whatever. So it's going to be like the leadership of separation is now going, I don't know. Okay. So depending on how much inner work you've done is going to be where you are in this class today. Okay. So if you've been doing a lot of inner work or maybe no inner work, but you've just been like putting yourself in nature, that's inner work. Because again, if you would just leave it alone, it could reorganize. Mother Nature has, with everything that happens to her, she creates something to fix herself. So, too much plastic? No problem. I am going to create a mushroom that eats plastic. Perfect. You don't need to be worried about that. You don't need to be worried about all this trash in the ocean. Do not worry. Right? And I will tell you, one of the strongest elements in physical reality to break down something not that's toxic is salt. So, ocean's good. Don't worry about that. Okay? Now, some of you might still be in the aftermath of really kind of angry that, like, are they lied to us? And I would say that if you're feeling that, you're probably at more of the beginning of your journey. Okay, because holy rage is important. You gotta wake up to the lie and then get really pissed off and go down the conspiracy theory, avenue for a couple of months, years, whatever. And then you shake it off, right? But this is not the time to necessarily seek the light. This is the time to be part of the cleanup crew. Because I'll tell you, by this time next year, social media will probably be 5% of your life, when today it could be 80%. Because as this hypnosis goes away, so does the hypnosis of distraction, which is beautiful. Which means that you're going to actually connect with people again. You're going to go to see live music again. You're going to go see like what the humans that are not behind the veil have been creating. Where before the Matrix wouldn't let any of the designers, inventors, singers, songwriters, artists, true politicians have a platform. Now the world is saying who's going to step up and be the new platform, but not from a performance perspective, but from hey guys, I have an idea. How about this? Or does anybody want to come look at the art that I've been making in my basement for the last 2 years? It's going to be more of like this vibe, and it's going to feel very real for the very first time. And it won't be like, oh, that's fake, like the magician's work. Okay, it's going to feel real. So depending on how you're sitting right now in your own universe is going to determine like how quick this mess gets cleaned up. Okay, now the mess that we're here to clean up is done in the stillness. All right, now unless you have like in the stillness you invent something that can clean up something, then don't worry about it. Because remember, all you are responsible for is your orbit, your universe, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, your desires, and your contractions. Like that's it. That's all that you are responsible for. Not your partner, not your children, not your debt from what you accumulated, because the house always wins. That is not your responsibility. Okay? If there are parts of you that still feel very obligated to that system, then you will keep it alive longer. It's literally going to be your level of commitment and obligation that is going to keep the matrix still playing in your head. Because it's almost like there's those people who go to the festivals and they just like want to live in that state every day. Like, oh, remember, and they like, remember that, and they want to stay in that field. That's wonderful. There was some highlights, the pickle tastes good for 30 seconds, and those memories we will take with us. But it was just something to do while the seed of our soul waited underground for this moment. You realize you've never been able to bloom in the matrix. You are a seed, and this is why, if you notice, why are we so far apart? Why are the people that are just like you, not the people that understand you or accept you, but the people that are just like you, why are they so far away from you? Different state, different country, because creator has planted us in a way where underground, metaphorically, we have been awaiting this moment. So, how would it feel if I told you you haven't lived yet? You've never lived. You've been in someone else's dream and you've been a seed the whole time. But the seed has been expanding through desire and contraction the whole time, which means that it's been germinating underground. So think of it like this, like the seeds that come in are light. And what do you have to do to survive the matrix? You have to surround yourself in darkness. And if you were too close to each other, it would actually create the germination process to be weird. And so if you look at like, and again, there's probably light workers in your town, but even if you go and you like hang out with them, they're not like you. They're not like you. They're like speaking the same language maybe, and they know, like they understand spirit, but they're not like you because you have never fit in anywhere. You haven't fit in the spirit world. You haven't fit in the science collective. You haven't fit in the Western or Eastern platforms. It's like, for some reason, you have like been slightly different than all of it, but a little bit like all of it. And I know because you guys are me. Like, I know that the people that have taken these classes, like, and I know where you all live, and it's very strategic. And it has made the ego feel unworthy and unvaluable because the thing is love is a reflection of its true. The true definition of love is to be able to reflect yourself in another and be truly understood, understanded, and seen, right? Who has really seen all that you are yet? No one, not even you. Because our agreement here, you guys, was not that we would come hold the light. No, our agreement here was that we would wait underground and we would dream the dream because the dream would give us awareness. It would give us compassion. It would finally contract us so much that our shell could break because you realize that the shell of the seed has to be destroyed for the bloom. And I mean, I've been preparing you guys for this. I've been saying, you're here to bloom, you're here to bloom, and you're going to go through the same life cycle as the seed. But what we had to do when it got really dark is we actually had to grow down into darkness. This is why when you guys woke up, you might have had a year of bliss of, feeling like, wow. And then your life started to go shitty. Like you started to go downwards a little bit. And I don't mean that your life went downwards. It was just like your conception of life was like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And why is spirituality still judging me, right? And why is the love and light trying to suck me in when I know I have these dark places that I feel like I have to hide? And the reason why is because you chose to bury yourself into darkness to be fertilized and to wait for this golden age. Just like they've been grooming Trump since the 1800s, his character, right? And I don't care what you think of him as far as like an outside force, he is a fragment of you, right? And his shenanigans in the 80s, that was the collective ego. And whoever he is becoming now is going to be based on what you believe. So, and why I'm saying that, if you're like in Australia, you're like, what does Trump have to do with me? Everything. Okay. Because I can get to Australia in about 45 minutes if I go through the Grand Canyon. Because we're all a lot closer than we've been told. And the reason why we're a lot closer than we've been told is so that we would feel like everything was so far away when everything is actually right here, right now. So if you're feeling like you've been stuck in a location or even if you've gotten to your desired location, it hasn't felt exactly how you thought it was going to feel yet. Just give it time. Because as you bloom, and some of you are saying, why would I wait till this age to bloom? Because you knew that time was also fake and that your cells have no idea how old you are. So as the hypnosis begins to clear more and more and more and more and more and more and more, this is why you have felt like an adult but never grown up. Every single one of you feels like an adult because you pay bills and you speak like an adult and you carry yourself like, but none of you are adults in that way. None of you are grown up because you didn't, your soul has not. And so what some call the second coming, I am calling the second childhood. It is first you had your life cycle as a seed. Now you have to understand that seeds have a life. They do. They have a whole life, but it is night and day different than a bloom. It is a different sky. It is a different view perspective. It is a different purpose. It is a different witness. It is a different physical experience. And when a bloom breaks through the ground, it can now be part of the all. See, when you're a seed, you can never truly be part of anything because you are in isolation. Your shell, and this is why we fragment ourselves. Because if we stay too whole in our belief systems, we would have never tolerated this or played the game. So we kind of like stayed in the seed perspective, which means we bought into the idea that we were separate from even ourselves. And what makes up self? Money, time, health, relationships. So you are money, you are time, you are health, you are creation, and you also get to be creator. But the first half of the game, you only got to dream and visualize about being a creator. And maybe some things you created that came to pass. But if you are creating in a matrix that from a seed perspective, it was never designed to last. It was designed to give you the taste and the expression of what you could be so that one day you would be ready to give birth to yourself. And if you guys did the Jedi class, I very intently spoke on this is your birthing season. This is like the skies are going to clear and now it's safe for you to bloom. Some of you never have been able to rub two nickels together in the game. That was intentional because you didn't want to get lost in matrix money. You knew you were going to wait for 5D money. Some of you stayed sick the whole time so you could keep watch over yourselves. Okay. Some of you stayed in horrible relationships so you wouldn't bloom too early. So what I want you to understand is everything you know about reality up until this point, you have never truly lived. You've been dreaming the dream. And now we're going to be waking up from the dream. But just like any dream, you're going to take aspects of that dream that are going to make fundamental choices and desires for your next experience. So never in the history of the galactic cosmos have we ever gone through a full reset alive. Most of the time what we do during a reset is we all choose to die with the game and then start as the baby because it's too much to carry the memories and the body. That's where the belief systems are, and the belief systems become alive. And if you're really in the dream, you are not, hold on, let me get my Wi-Fi stable. You are not questioning it until you wake up. But as soon as you wake up, you start to question, like, what? That wasn't my mom I was talking to, but it was my mom in the dream. I was in my house, but it wasn't my house. You don't even think of these things while you're in the dream. So that's why I said there's a bit of a cleanup. that has to happen, because we're going to shake off this dream energetically, emotionally, and chemically. We literally have to shake out the dream. Like if you've ever had a nightmare that just kind of haunts you for the first few hours of your morning, you literally have to shake it off before it feels less real, because it had such an impact on your nervous system. You might have been crying in the dream, right? But you weren't necessarily questioning why you were crying. You were just crying. You were having the full experience. Is this resonating with anyone like at all? Because to me, this is where this particular seed collective is. Now, there are several different types of volunteers here acting as different aspects of light. Okay. I'm talking to the seeds. So I'm not talking to the whistleblowers. That's not who you are. You didn't say, I'm going to go up against the government and I don't care if they assassinate me. That was not your calling. There are three different types of volunteers here, especially if you've studied Dolores Cannon's work. Okay. There's going to be whistleblowers, there's going to be observers, and there is going to be seeds. The observer effect are the ones who don't participate but witness from a higher perspective. That would be your monk sitting on, who doesn't participate in physical reality and yet is witnessing all of it, because they're the ones holding space for the seed. The whistleblowers are the ones who are preparing you to be able to shake out the dream. Because if all of this just disappeared and you didn't realize it was a lie, and you didn't realize that like you were under hypnosis this whole time, and you didn't realize money was fake, and you didn't realize all these things, you would feel so much grief and loss right now, because it's the only life you've ever had in this experience. So Earth is splitting, okay? And part of her old hologram is going to finish playing out through darkness and the new vibration of her, because she's the living library. So she expands and contracts to save all the data for the game. She's the game template. On Earth, you can bring heaven or hell. She's just like a mama. All my children are welcome. And even the darkest parasitic energy is still is still her child. Even if they hurt her, even if they try to destroy her, there's still unconditional love there, because the mother energy is the unconditional, nurturing, loving, supportive resource. She's never gonna say no to the child. But through her own secular expansion and spiraling, she is moving into such a state of expansion, right, that she's actually becoming too light for some of the children. Now, you can relate. When you started to become more light, who couldn't be around you? Who was like, right? Who started getting triggered by your very existence? Who was like, I can't be your friend anymore because misery loves company? All right. So again, that is kind of what's going to happen. Is there's the idea of the vampire energy can't be in direct sunlight. It doesn't mean that the vampire energy is not source. It doesn't believe that it's not a child of creator. So all things are welcome. But as she shifts and she becomes more light, more of who she actually is, again, because she's going through her expansion state, then anything that can't tolerate that level of light will go find somewhere else to be, which they've already gone. Like they've been underground and some off planet as far as the hologram stories go. Okay. So as above, so below. And this is why you can get to Australia in 45 minutes, because there's magnetic trains that go 3,000 miles an hour down there through the ocean. It takes us 35 hours to get there. It takes 45 minutes if you go in a magnetic bullet train. So what we want to do right now is stop mourning what we didn't achieve in someone else's hologram, but realize there's no place like home. Like, this is kind of the story of, the Wizard of Oz, right? You're like following the yellow brick road, thinking that you're getting somewhere, and you're gonna figure it out. You're gonna get your wishes granted by the great wonderful Oz, because every single one of you has had this weird feeling of being homesick deep, deep, deep in your hearts for a place you don't even know. If you're a seed, it's also what's called a chosen one, which means a chosen one has chosen to germinate underground energy wise. And I don't mean where they are, but like in the idea of the void. Okay? The void energy. And wait for this moment. Because your light was too big to be where Gaia was when you were first born. And this is why, if like you talk to early empaths or early, like light workers, they did their job, but they absolutely hated being here. Okay, like I've had conversations with Neville Goddard in meditation. He was like, hated every moment of being here because, he is here bringing the whistleblower energy. And this is why you're like, well, if they're so high up in spirituality, how come they died at 62? And how come they got shot? How do they manifest that? Because they were never here to do what you're here to do. They were here to blow the whistle and prepare you, to show you a world with all kinds of experiences so you could make up your mind of what you wanted to do here. And this is why I said, like, your coordinates, your true mission is to be authentic. That's it. And authentic means that you vibe from your own heart, not what everyone else is doing. That you beat to your own drum, not what everyone else is doing. But what's so cool about this is that even though we've been put so far away from each other, that all can change due to the simple science of pollination. So some of you will be relocating through pollination. Some other people will be pollinating towards you. This is why next year is going to be so fun, because you are finally going to be able to see and meet and be around people that were also seeds. Not space holders, not NPCs, not whistleblowers, not false light. You're going to meet yourselves in different aspects. And what's going to be so cool about this is they're going to be opposite in nature of what you're here to experience, which means that they will actually fill the void for something that you have no desire to do. Okay? Or be. But it will completely fit. So like what I realized in Jedi, I was share the way that I got that perspective of some people have built their incubation and their seedling from like a solid foundation, and then some of us have built our solid foundation from spirit, and the merge in between is the emotional journey. So like me and my partner, like I have been all spirit my whole life. That's what kept me safe, keeping me kind of like unattached to money and time and all those things. But that doesn't serve me in the new world, because it's actually going to be safe to anchor here. So I had to manifest someone who felt safely anchored here, who didn't feel safe in spirit. You see how it's a perfect puzzle piece. So he's showing me how to safely anchor, because he's an entrepreneur. So he never like went into the system corporation wise. He was authentic in his architecture on his own drum, and therefore the matrix can leave and yet his business can still exist. Okay. You are going to be bringing heaven down to earth. Those of you who have been off in the clouds, okay, which that's where you were supposed to be. You were never supposed to conform. You were never supposed to buy in. And some of you have felt really guilty about that. Some of you have felt ashamed by the lack of real, like, world knowledge that your spouse maybe says, how come you don't know how to do this or want to do this? Or why don't you want to participate in this? Okay. And all of that is going to start disappearing because that was never you. It was a dream. So just like when you wake up with a bad dream or a good dream, it takes a few hours for it to completely like wash through. And some of you hold on to dreams that you had when you were a little kid. This dream will feel like a dream 1 year from now because the reset is happening very gently in order to keep us alive. Every system is being reset right now on the planet. Money, time, health, relationships. It's all being reset back to factory settings. So you don't need to do anything. This is why it's like you just be. So if you look at the Buddha, right, and like what he symbolizes, people are thinking, okay, he's this fat laughing guy who's like, yeah, don't desire anything. Well, that doesn't sound fun. But if you look at the metaphor of that, his big full belly is showing you that your prosperity is in your guts. That's what he said. He said, look how full I am. What? I don't need anything. Why would I need anything when I am the world, shaped like the world? Okay, and he's smiling, giggling, laughing, and he's just happy to be there. Okay, that's his level of enlightenment, and that's what he was communicating to you through symbology, numerology, and presence. What Christ was representing to you is that you are going to have to sacrifice your shell in order to bloom, which is your ego construct. You are going to have to be humiliated in order to become authentic. That's what his metaphor was sharing with us. So wherever you are is exactly where you're supposed to be. And one of the last things that's going to leave this year is your disappointment with time. So just take a breath for a minute. Because a lot of you are going, well, I don't want to be 50, 60 years old and just get started. Because again, some of you are still like being held hostage by time. And again, I think that is a great mess to clean up right now. Like you're going to clean up those messes vibrationally, which means that if you notice when you're doing something that you absolutely love, time doesn't exist. When you are in joy, all you do is want more time to do it. When you are doing something that does not align with your soul or your truth, it feels like time is dragging. Okay. And the reason why time is speeding up right now, which it's not actually, is just following a new repatterning, right? You're feeling like I don't have enough time to do what I need to do. What I want you to do is I want you to sit down and question, what do I actually need to do versus what do I want to do? Okay. Because like I said, there's two ways to do this. You can either, go inwardly and do a ton of shadow work, or you can just go get your ass in nature and let it wash through you. Fire will burn it out, the air will purify it, the water will flow it, the ground will hold you. And so you get to make up your mind how you want this garbage to be cleaned up. Like there's a demolition mess. Okay. And part of what you came to do is going to be inspired by the mess you're in right now. Because again, like if you look at neutrality and the vibration of neutrality, it means it just is. Like there's no bad, there's no good. You're holding both poles. And what I want you to reframe is that right now, as the seed, right, and the bloom, I am the masterpiece and the mess. And you are going to be both for a while. So again, to me, like when I look at what real love is versus what the Matrix told us love was, which is sacrifice and obligation and biting your tongue and doing what you don't want to do and showing up when you don't want to show up and all those definitions of love. True love is full radical acceptance. And so what I would like for you to play with the idea of is could I throw my age away today? This is probably why I was in the wrong class because I'm practicing this. So I don't know which version of you I am today. So and again, as a seed, you've always been the off one. That's the on one. Like you've always been the one who's on, but around to the other characters in your movie, you've been a little bit off in their eyes because you've never been able to truly participate. Just take a breath with that. That has really hurt our inner child, thinking that we've never truly been able to fit into the point where we were ever fully participating with anything, except the things that were awesomely love, which means that you've been able to participate with your children, or you've been able to participate with the things that you love, but you've never really been able to participate with the things that ego loved. Because what ego loves is the illusion, because ego was created out of it. So this is why when, like every day, starting, I mean, I would say since 2012 is when the plug got pulled. All right. But you have to look at this the same way you would do a parasite cleanse. Just because you go do a parasite cleanse, that game is not over. That game is going to play on for maybe 2 to 3 more seasons if you stay consistent and disciplined in and cleaning that out, which means that in 2012 is when the switch got pulled, like no more, right? And then it actually caused the Matrix to get worse because they were fighting for the energy here. All right. They were fighting to not hold on to Gaia because they knew their time was limited. They were fighting to hold on to you, the participants. They wanted you to travel with the circus. They were saying, but these people are paying and they're showing, we need them to come with us because you are the source. Imagine if a circus came to your town, put up all their stuff, cooked all their food, did all their lights, and no one came. I think they just experienced this in Texas. Like they had a state fair and like 10% of what they usually get showed up. So imagine that. That would royally piss them off when they've had control over you this whole time. And so there's going to be backlash, just like there would be a parasite infection. There's going to be backlash, which means that they're going to say, oh, okay, well, we were holding on to this for you. Just like the reason why every single person who is left here is going to be loaded with parasites right now is only because of the heavy metals. Okay, you are not dirty, you're not disgusting. But again, we are all going to have cleaning out our bodies a little bit over the next year because we had to call in parasites to keep our bodies alive because the heavy metals would have killed us. So here's where you can get even neutral with that. All right, because again, the more heavy metals that are in your food, water, air, clothes, everything that we've like had in our body since we were little tiny kids has been calling in these parasites to keep our body alive so that we could be ready for this time because we're indestructible and because our bodies will heal if they're left alone. Okay, then we were okay with going through that experience because we knew that as the heavy metals started to leave, then the cleanup was going to be no different than just a basics like secular or cycle little like cleaning the house. It's like spring cleaning. It wouldn't even feel different. So I want you to look at any sort of body detoxes that come through that you're going to want to do are going to be just your spring cleaning. The more the heavy metals start to disappear from the water, the oceans, the food, everything. Okay, and it's going to take a little bit of time. And the reason why it's going to take a little bit of linear time is because our bodies are addicted to what we've always had. They become addicted to the heavy metal. They become addicted. But the reason why, just FYI, there's so much heavy metal that's dumped on top of you is to keep you in seed form, because you are actually gold, silver, copper, right? And therefore, if they can turn you into aluminum, then you are not capable of actually becoming the supernatural soul blueprint. You have to stay more of that ego construct physically, which means that your body can die, it can get sick, it can it can have an expiration date. But when you are living in a nature that works in the four elements, then you become the fifth element, and the fifth element then controls the elements instead of the elements controlling you. Because you've got gold and silver and copper in your blood. This is why blood has been the commodity. The blood that is within you is the physical manifestation of spirit. So spirit is energy, but it manifests as blood within you. And although it's been tainted and it's been, poisoned and all these things, it's like just like Gaia. And here's some TMI, because I want to just remind you how indestructible you are. Just like Gaia can create a mushroom that she didn't have before on the planet that can eat, plastic. If you were to actually drink your own urine, I know this sounds so crazy, the antibodies that you make in your own urine, if you were to drink it, would actually detox all of it out. When I say you need nothing outside of you, you do not need heavy, expensive detoxes. I'm not telling you to go drink your urine. But what I am saying is if there's more stem cells in urine and blood than in anything you could go buy. And you are Gaia in human form. So what you dispel is actually your medicine on some level. This is why the matrix collects, this is why there's porta potties, because they collect everything and they use the antibodies from our expression to continue to tweak and actually keep our health away from us. Because again, if they can be the problem and then offer us the solution, we will never look inside of ourselves. And the very thought of you going, I'm not going to drink my own urine, that sounds so disgusting. You've actually been programmed to believe that that's disgusting. You see? And I'm by no means drinking my own urine, because there is faster ways to do that. But I'm just saying, if your little seedling was like, I'm at stage 4 cancer and I took the vaccine and I'm loaded with heavy metals and I'm too sensitive to do a parasite, whatever, reach out to me, because I'll show you how to purify it. And you can put it in a capsule and you won't have to experience it the way that doing a shot. I just want to remind you how indestructible you are, and that there is actually no damage that has been done to your body. The age that your birthday, this is why birthdays are so important in the matrix, because they want to keep reminding you you're getting older. If you never had a birthday and you had no idea how old you are, after the aftermath of the matrix, you might feel a little old, but give yourself a year. Give yourself a year to act like that fifth element and work with the elements around you, calling it in to help move all this dream out of you. Because the thing that they don't tell you, and even manifestation doesn't really share this, is every thought you've ever created has created a thought form. And so you've created your own devils and your own angels by every thought you've ever had. And the thoughts that you've had they were probably 80% not yours until you truly awakened. And even then, right now, the thoughts that you think right now are the aftermath thoughts. They're not even pure thought. That's why, like, in the higher up classes, we're not going to be thinking at all. We're going to be working with feelings only. Because again, the feeling is the feminine, it is the feeling state. And you're going to be able to feel your way to the sun, which means that the seed, when it cracks open, it's got to go off of instinct. It's not handed a GPS like grow upward. You're just gonna know. Okay. And gravity is going to be in reverse, which means what held you down before is now going to start pushing you up. And so again, there might be like feelings of overwhelm or, what am I supposed to be doing? So the best thing that you could do for you right now, instead of trying to figure out how to take care of yourself, is to actually just take care of yourself. Okay. And become the center of that universe. And look at yourself as those four parts. Okay, what does my soul keep reminding me that I am? Very important that you are allowing space for your soul to tell you the isness. And that's going to be in the form of, I know I'm abundant. I know how to heal. I know how to do this. I can't do that, or I don't know how to do that in this moment, but somehow I know. Hold on to that right now. Okay. The feminine energy wants to feel her way through all of this, which means that just like storms have to happen, you may have to grieve, you may have to be angry, you have to shake it off, right? Because again, the nervous system has become so locked up that the seed doesn't want to open. So there's going to be some stretching that needs to happen for us to break through that hard candy shell that we've had been held in, that we wanted to be held in. Can you imagine if you bloomed in your vulnerable, natural, beautiful, artistic, architectural, like holistic light body in a world of chaos, destruction, and energy eating? There's no way you would have survived it. So, you decided that you were going to wait for the golden age, and we're here. Some people are going to stay in their seeds for years to come because they're going to watch what other people are going to be doing. They're going to watch at the seed way over there to say, well, he's blooming. But it's not going to come from like, well, then I have to bloom. There's going to be some people who are not looking within enough that they're going to have to still kind of like wait for the world to show up differently for them to give themselves permission to bloom. Perfect. Okay. So you guys have this opportunity, if you can kind of hear what I'm saying as far as like what's coming through the channel today, is saying we are where we are and it's perfect. It's your job to clean up the trash. And the trash is that you have bought into age, that you have bought into failure, that you have bought into lack, that you have bought into suffering, you've bought into it. So your energy is in those areas. And so every time you say, okay, I'm going to clean this up, you're only going to clean up you. You're going to focus on letting go of emotion. You're going to have hella boundaries, which means that people that are designed to keep you in that shell are going to be put into a shell. And it's loving. They just don't have direct access to you. Okay. Or you're going to find a way to become neutral with it. If you process enough of the body emotion, neutrality to unconsciousness is going to be your natural state. You won't even have to try. The only reason that you would ever get triggered by anything outside of you is because you're loaded. Okay. So the more that you can expel, and I highly recommend that you expel emotion like intentionally rather than constantly getting rocked by the mirror. Because every time the mirror triggers you, you're going to still have that old defense mechanism that's going to make the mirror feel real. So you're the one who knows from a scale of 1 to 10, how insecure am I? You're the only one that's going to know from a scale of 1 to 10, how embarrassed am I to be seen in public or to share my gift? Or from 1 to 10, how much am I aware of the gift? Some of you are wondering, well, what is my gift going to matter if everyone is blooming? And that's a program. Because the gift you had that you were gifting to the matrix, okay, isn't actually what you came for. So it's the idea of like what I was doing before. It's like, okay, I got to help everyone get to the kingdom. And the new coordinate is I gotta learn how to live with everyone in the kingdom. There's nowhere to get. I gotta learn how this place works. So it becomes different coordinates. So you don't have a savior complex anymore. You have a playing complex. You don't have oh, I've got to wake everybody up, or I've got to hide the fact that I'm awake. You are meeting people that are at your level, and they may have a different color bloom or a different, you know, a different expression as far as what they're blooming, but it will also be something that you get to play with. It won't be something that takes away from your bloom ever, because nature never makes anything that overshadows anything else in nature. Everything is going to work in harmony. And is it going to be all love and light? Absolutely not, because that would actually be no fun. Why not just not have a body and not be here for that? So you did actually come to keep some of the shadow, which means that when the bloom happens, if you can see a bloom, it has a shadow, or you wouldn't be able to see it. So all the shadow that you've built up is going to become fine-tuned, and it's going to become this work of art within you. So what I highly recommend for you guys is that you kind of focus in two directions right now. And it goes back to classes I think I taught 2 years ago. It's weeding and seeding. So what are you ready to throw away or let go of? And what do you really want to keep? And what do you want to experience? Because I want to change the definition of desire to experience. You don't want to get anything. You want the experience that that would give you. So if you have a mindset that I need the house to experience space, that's separation. But if you just say, I'm going to be the one who experiences the dream house, now you're working in the soul blueprint, no middleman. And now you're letting the higher self surprise you like a child. Because ultimately, your ego believes it knows exactly what it wants, but you have no clue. The only things that you have wanted in your life are things that have been witnessed and projected and reflected from a matrix. So the desire is going to shift. And so if we can kind of be proactive with it and go, I don't want the thing, I want the experience. Right? One of the reasons why I want to have this big space is I can experience all of my family thriving together. It isn't the space that I want so much, it's the experience. What's really cool about this is when you decide that you're done with this body, if you decide to live till 900 or whatever you do, because as soon as the second sun anchors in, your body is going to change dramatically, right? So imagine you're this weak aluminum robot versus gold, silver, copper version of yourself in the coming years. And I mean, some of you can't even contemplate what your bodies are going to start turning into. Okay. You can't even imagine, but you don't even have to. Because from what you've seen or heard, how could you? You just might have had a resonance with some sort of supernatural person, place, or thing that just really felt like it resonated with you. Some sort of immortality being has resonated with you at some point by now. Some magical being has resonated with you. You can imagine that that's what you're going to become, or the same type of flower. So if you've always been very drawn to fairies and things like that, that's going to be your bloom. Okay, so prepare. And how you can help prepare that is you can get ready for birth by clearing out your physical, emotional, and chemical spaces. You guys, everyone getting this? Okay. Now, in the Decode the Mirror class, I'm going to take them through every step of that. It's very intense until it's not. Because we're going to be doing things we've never done before. In the Matrix, you detox and you get sick again. Because the air is poison, the food is poison. So you're just cleaning yourself out to call in more darkness. Never before have we actually cleaned up a mess and it stays clean. Never. It's like living with toddlers. It's like, turn around, there's a mess. You know, you get yourself all the way out of debt in the matrix and you turn around and, damn it, how did this happen again? Right? Or you have your dream house, but you got a heavy mortgage. And maybe you're not the one paying a mortgage, but you see the heaviness on your partner. Okay? That is not going to exist anymore. Because the thing is when you're going to become nature itself. And never once has that tree tried to figure out how to earn its place to be here. So we're cleaning up the trash of worth issues. We're cleaning up the trash of doing to be valuable. We're cleaning up the trash of shamed, so I don't want to shine, or what's going to happen to me if I shine. All of that. And again, like I said, if all you did was go out in nature and breathe, this would all just happen very organically. But some of us live in cities and we live around other toxic energies. Okay. And so we maybe can't go sit on the rock a few hours a day and just let nature cleanse it out. So what you can do is you can be proactive and you can assist your field in that letting go and letting that go. Okay. This will inspire different ways to eat, different things to do. You don't have to figure out, well, what am I supposed to eat? Don't worry about it. Your body's intelligence will tell you exactly what you're going to be eating and doing and having. And if you feel like, well, I didn't jump on the bandwagon of getting the farm and growing my own food. So what happens if the grocery stores shift and change? Don't you worry about it. Like your soul has given you exactly what you need. And just like I said, other puzzle pieces are going to come together. There has been other people preparing for the new style of eating. Other people have been building new money systems. You don't have to worry about that. Your only job is your field. Your children and everyone in your movie is connected to your field. Do not stop cleaning yours and try to clean theirs. Okay? Their illness, their anger has only been inspiration for you to bloom. Let their illness be there. Let their distortion be there. You don't have, that was there to help you bloom because it's contrast. It's desire to be more of yourself. And again, if you are here to play in the new healing arts or whatever that's going to look like, then you're going to need to surround yourself with sick people and be sick. That's going to be the very thing that was designed to inspire your shell to crack open. If you're here to live in a castle, then you've probably been broke because you needed the exact desire to help finally break through. And it's no different than you've grown out of your shell. And when you get uncomfortable enough, like I said, when the fear of not living is bigger than the fear of hiding, that's going to be your time. Your soul has a specific time, place, it's all taken care of. All you have to do is be the child who follows their heart. And I don't mean the heart of the broken heart, the heart that has been hurt. I mean the soul of you, the one that knows that you were never broken. Does anybody have any questions on this or something they want to add that they've been experiencing that resonates with this concept? Because again, all I can share is what I'm going through and where you guys are. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you please explain the whatever the 5D money versus, I think you said in a couple of months the money will be gone. Can you explain that
Well,
better?
everything is going to be slowly changing. Nothing's ever going to be gone because we live in an abundant universe. So the physical dollar might go away, but there will be a new form of economics. Okay. So the money's never going to be gone. It's just going to change form. Okay. And so, but again, like I said, it is actually based on, I couldn't tell you when because it's going to determine when you bloom. that you will have it. If you decide to stay a seed, you have to play with what is given to you. Like, think about it. A seed is underground and it has to wait for the water and it has to wait for the sun to finally get through the dirt in order for it to stay alive inside of itself, which means that you will be at the mercy of whatever is unfolding collectively. When you do not have sovereignty of self, you have to rely on the sovereignty of others, which is fine. So, what is the true definition of sovereignty? It is self sufficient. That's what sovereignty means. We all want it. But then we're like, well, how do I take care of myself? None of us could take care of ourselves in the matrix. None of us have to take care of ourselves in the new world because everything's taken care of. So, Natalie, if you want to know when the new money will be released, and I said this in class, is it's going to be based on heart coherence. So if you were going to say, how pure is your heart? That is when all of a sudden your birth certificate money is going to end up in your account. Because we're all playing this game. It wasn't just Americans that their birth certificates were hijacked. It's the whole game. Okay, you're all enslaved at birth. So that slavery cannot change until you decide you are not a slave. And then you have to clean the vibrational belief systems that money is the only way to support yourself. You have to cleanse and take out the trash of, that you don't already have it. So, like I said, we've always been playing an individual game. But when you haven't been self sufficient, which means that you don't keep your own counsel with your own emotion and you don't guide yourself through the higher power, if you're guiding yourself through the ego consciousness, then you're going to actually finish your cleanup through continuing to pretend you're a slave for a while. But the ones who say, you know what, I'm not going to focus on when the money's coming, I'm going to focus on being the vibration of money, which is overflow and prosperity and freedom and experience. So focus more on what that money would give you as far as experience and focus on visualizing those experiences. Because, like, if you tried to go and fight for your birth certificate money right now, that's what's called law of resistance. And you cannot in this universe be in resistance of something and have something. So you want to be in the state of it's already mine. And when I clean up my vibration, then like attracts like. So think of yourself right now as like attracts like. So whatever keeps coming towards you is what is inside of you. And this is where we want to be as far as the finances go, because they're rolling out the new money system, and I would highly recommend that you do not go algorithm searching for what that looks like. Because again, remember, your algorithm is going to be based on your biggest belief systems, good and bad. So, like I said, in some people's universe, the earth is flat. In some people's universe, the earth is round. There's not like one truth for everyone, except what you know in your heart. So again, like if you've never wanted to be bothered by money and you were just like, I don't even want it, then don't start now. Just focuses on the experiences. Because when you're a child, you have to pretend. So you're pre-attending. And that's what's going to finally allow you to break open. When you stop being afraid of money is when you'll have it all. When you stop needing money is when you'll have it all. So if you were going to say when, I would say when you stop needing it or wanting it. Okay. Now your ego is going to tell you we still need that, and that's fine. But there has to also be another governor in there to contradict that. Just like what's going on right now. Like you're seeing the contradiction. That is going, your ego is going to stay as strong as your body is dirty. So what I've seen within myself and many others is the more in nature you can get to, whatever that looks like, and the more nature you can surround yourself with. So you could be nowhere near nature, but you could listen to bird sounds, you could listen to running water, you could have a candle burning in front of you. Nature is the elements. So if you can bring the elements into your apartment, or if it's in the middle of winter for you, you bring those elements in, it's still nature. And it will still do the exact same thing as sitting on a mountain rock, because you're calling in those elements to help purify you. You can charge the water, right? You can tell the water what you want for your body. You can put the experience in the water, drink it. You're 70% water. You're a hologram. But the hologram has been programmed. So you're going to have to reprogram your own hologram. Some people are going to be the first person on the list to receive their money. Okay? Because they've been working on getting out of the matrix this whole time. They're going to be the first ones. So those of you who have been working on living self-sufficient with or without the matrix's help are going to be the first ones that get the money. And that's why, like, in the Decode the Mirror class, I have the exact strategy of every point of fascia and muscle and detox and parasites. Because the thing is, your muscle thinks, your cells think, parasites think, thought forms think, entities think, and they're in your field. So until you clear out all the thought forms that are not you, you're not going to be safe with everything and nothing. Okay? So when you could be safe, content, happy, and free with absolutely nothing or with everything, that is going to be kind of your thermometer to tell you how free you are. So remember, everything in the universe, regardless of what game is playing out, is always going to be a vibrational match to the dominant frequency. What is frequency? It's the album, and each vibration is a song. So your organs are instruments. They're playing a song. Is your liver playing resentment? Because resentments create thought forms. Thought forms are entities. Entities are a magnet for darkness or aluminum, and they're going to call in a parasite. So as above, so below. And again, like, it's such a deep matrix detox that I'm offering in the Decode the class, that I don't feel safe enough to give it to you guys in the exact form, because I can't hold space for those of you who are not holding space for yourself. Okay? But you have also enough awareness where you could say, okay, like attracts like. So if I want to return to my abundance and return to my prosperity, then I've got to clear out everything that is not in alignment with that. And how you actually do that is you realize that you have always been abundance, you've always been prosperity, but the thinking thought forms that are in your field that you've collected have to be purged out of your field. And that's why I said you've got to start, like, if ego's not just like on its own free will getting in the back seat, you're going to have to work every day to raise the consciousness of your soul so it can fit inside of your body. Because one thing that's going to be very different about 5D than 3D is that auric field that, it surrounds your field is actually going to be on the inside of you in 5D. But because your inner world became so toxic, the auric field had to go on the outside. So this is why if you look at like the mystery schools and the enlightened beings, it's like they all glow, because the auric field is on the inside. So every time you take the trash out, which is belief systems, you clear trauma through the physical body, through somatic work or breathing, you are making space for the field to come back in. And this, when your field becomes in, that is the beginning of your light body, that through the next 5,000 years will become a full light body. But before that, we'll have the best of both worlds, where we'll be an operating shadow with light inside of itself instead of the shadow with the light on the outside. Right? So think about a seed. It needs the sunlight. Okay? The bloom is directly in the sunlight. So it's a very, like I said, it's like going from a completely different universe. But the way that our brains are set up is that it won't feel like, whoa. Like it will feel like natural, logical next steps. It will feel like one scene is going to blend because we've had like 4 resets already since 2012, and most people haven't even noticed it. Like major resets, like characters coming in and out, systems changing, like, and we've just been like, oh, yeah, I feel kind of like I'm in a zoo right now. Like, but this whole time it's been changing, but we haven't noticed it because of the way your brain seamlessly moves from one scene to the next, keeping you thinking that you're in the same physical reality because it's designed that way. So it's not like you're going to be like so ripped out of one world into the next. It's going to be a gradual evolution of yourself. So again, like I know so much about what's going on with every money system out there and how it all works. And but it again, it doesn't matter what I know because each field is going to receive differently based on its operating system, right? If you want to hold on to resentment, then that's going to be the vibration of your reality, which means that you're going to see someone get their birth certificate money and you're going to resent them because that's what you do. Okay. And it's going to seem so easy for them. Why does it seem so hard for me? Because I believe it's hard, right? Everything comes down to belief. So, like I said, we've got to give ourselves this linear experience of time to unwind so that we can stop playing in linear time. So if you actually do more things that help you lose time, you'll switch from the old timeline to the new timeline. If you stop doing things that steal your time, that's part of taking out the trash. Because if you look at it right now, like, okay, this world's ending. Like, why am I going to spend all this time and effort trying to figure out how to do something that's part of the old system? Instead, I'm going to go do something I want to do. So it comes down to this. And this will be the last thing I say till we wrap. Whatever you participate with, whatever you participate in, is your agreement. If you participate with being a looky-loo on what is happening, but you do nothing, then you'll be a participant, but you won't be proactively creating. Because again, like I said, even though you are in 5D now, you can still be at that kindergarten level and still need everybody who's ahead of you to do things for you until you just like, you see children do this. They want help until they don't. They want to be carried all around until they want to run. And then they only want to be carried when they're tired. Okay. They want to do it themselves, where before they wanted you to do it for them. So it's just, it's almost like you're growing into your own sovereign, self-sufficient self. So the more self-sufficient you can become, the more nurturing you can become, the more proactive you can become, the more you can listen to yourself and know it is what you need, not what everybody needs. That is when you're going to see the timeline slip. But the fastest way to do that is to spend more time doing the things that help you lose time, doing less of the things that make time drag out, truly looking at obligation and commitment could be keeping you in the old system. And then maybe still even playing the game, but play it neutrally. Okay. Maybe you still are, oh, I'm going to pay my mortgage for a few more months, but it's going to be neutral. Right? Because we've already paid the mortgage off. Every credit card you've received, you already paid for all of it. Every car you've paid twice for. So again, if you feel like, oh, I've got to pay for this, then that's your belief, and that will be the world you live in for a little bit longer. But again, what's so cool about this is it's the 100 monkey effect. So now that we're officially in this 5D world, like the more people who take the initiative and proactively clean out their field and get back to nature factory settings will be able to demonstrate how it is working, and it will give you permission to finally let go of the old world. Right? It's like a trapeze. Like you got to let go of one to get to the other, and there's no net. So some of you are not letting go of obligations and circumstances because you're lacking certainty. Okay? This is where your soul comes in. Your soul is certain. And like every negative thing that's ever happened to you was part of your soul plan, just like what's going to happen to you in love and bliss. Like I said, your I am is going to match your I am not. Okay? Because they got to merge together in order to put those two coordinates together to really be able to give the world your artistic expression. So that's going to be what I'm going to give this class. Now, in the Decode the Mirror class, I'm going to give more specifics on Monday because and like the new systems that are coming in, because I'm also going to show them how to detox like in a certain way, but I have to hold space for them while they're doing that because it's not going to be comfortable. Right? If you're willing to go into pain right now, you would be in that class. Like uncomfortable pain, you've already signed up. Because that's the way through is the birthing experience. Like you've got to go into your pain, you've got to go into your humiliation, you've got to go into the parasites, you've got to go in there. And a lot of us are just like, I don't want to do it. It's like natural birth rather than an epidural. Both are going to give you the baby, but one you're not going to feel that much and you're going to be kind of unconscious for it. You're still going to have the baby, but it'll be a very different experience. And if you do it the kind of like slow, comfortable route, then you're going to have to spend a lot more time in time. And I'm not saying I'm the only one that knows how to do it, but all of you know that I don't teach this anymore. I live this. And anything that I'm sharing with you, I am doing, embodying, or working through it right now. Like there's no time lapse here. It's real time happening. Everything that I had for this class this week, literally, I have been doing physically, emotionally, chemically, spiritually, all of it. And therefore, then, okay, so I've received some of the benefit of it, so I know how it works. Right? I know what debts are going to disappear. I know what money's going to come in and how it's going to come in based on vibration. But if I was going to say, okay, based on your vibration, this is how it's going to come, you might not like the answer. So if you want to be proactive and you choose this vibration, no matter what, being uncomfortable for, I don't know, less than 90 days of truly just spending 90% of your time being okay in discomfort, then you're going to be the first bloom. So looking at Jesus, he put himself on that cross, didn't he? Because he wanted to cut the time it was going to take. If you look at what the disciples went through and what Christ went through, look at the time difference. Okay? Because one of them washed Christ, just say, hey, Judas, can you please betray me so I can get on that cross? Great, let's do it. And so he put it, and then it was over. And so then he can share the how. And the disciples stayed in their comfortable, uncomfortable zone instead of just going for it. So in scripture, you can see the two ways of doing this, and they're both perfect. Like, there's no part of me saying, oh, that's the wrong way to do it. I have just been on a mission to like say, okay, I'm going for the cross because like I'm 50. And if I have to be in a 50-year-old body and I can turn back the clock, I have 50-year-old wisdom, but I'll get the second childhood for as long as I choose. That's kind of like my negotiation with my own soul. So it is going to be based on individual self-participation at this point. There is no standard. Everybody gets to choose. Everybody gets to choose when they sprout, when they bloom, and how they do it. But again, I couldn't say, you're going to do this. So again, based on your reflection and mirror is going to tell me how you think about yourself, and how you think about yourself is going to be how the new world is built. So how you see yourself is how the new world's going to look. So if you don't like how the world, if you think that the money is going to make you feel better, then you're going to stay a seed until the other side is proven, which is fine. There are some seeds that will stay underground for literally another, I don't know, 10, 15 years. That's fine. It doesn't matter. It just, for me, it's just the worst possible feeling that I could share with you guys is knowing that all of this exists and not being able to live it. That to me, that's hell on earth. Knowing what I'm capable of, knowing what the world's capable of, knowing what like the other side looks like, knowing what the like what all these things are experiencing, and then not being able to experience the potential that I came to experience, that would be absolute hell on earth. Okay? So it's up to you. So if you decide to take your money, your attention completely off of money and focus on becoming the vibration of money, that would be the quickest way. If you go study the new money system and abandon yourself while you do it, you may never get there. For some reason, your name won't be on the list because you've got to be inside of yourself, operating self-sufficiently, governing yourself, the Garden of Eden, the kingdom of God, being the ruler of self before a creator will give you the keys to physically live it. And creator's you. So you're just, it's like you wouldn't give car keys to a kindergartner. And I'm not saying you're a kindergartner. I'm saying that we could literally be kindergartners today and then just decide that we're going to go all the way to past elementary school and right over here and just do the work. But the work is that you've got to get your soul in your body. And you got to start opening up that nervous system so it feels safe in chaos. When your nervous system can feel safe in this mess, you win. Because no one is going to clean up your mess. Okay? Like you might be, and I'm not saying you, I'm saying someone, might be the only one in a mess while everybody else is experiencing like something else. And that could be part of your story. Right? It's like, okay, mom says, okay, whoever cleans their room gets to go play. And you're the one that's like, I'm not going to my room. So you go in there, listen to music, and you hear everything happening, and then you look outside and everybody's playing. So you got to look at it as you are only responsible for cleaning up what the matrix havoc has done to your field, and that's it. Your children, your families, your money, your homes, your environment, everything will be restructured around the Garden of Eden you create inside. That's it. Okay? Anybody have any other questions that we can answer or I can answer? Or comments? All is welcome.
Jess,
Yeah.
I love what you're saying today because I've like been in that place of like I can barely listen to anybody's content anymore. I
Oh,
mean, you're one of the few people that I can listen to right now, and I think of listening to any training or it's like I just
nails on a chalkboard.
I
I know.
can't do it, and it's like even like I was with one of my buddies yesterday and he's struggling with some things, relationship, kids, and I couldn't find it to tell him anything. I was just like,
I know. Because we've even lost the motivation to be the guru. Like,
oh
same.
man. Yeah, it's like we've been having these conversations for 30 friggin' years, and it's
Right.
like, oh my God, I
Yeah.
don't have any words for it.
Right. Well, and we're also at a place too where, like, how can I motivate your field when I'm supposed to be my own hype crew? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, and that's why I said, if your kid is sick right now or your kid is having trouble, you say, you know what, Holy Spirit, I'm going to take care of me because we're connected through the bloodline.
Yeah.
So if I take care of my field, that one will unravel perfectly. Because I'll tell you, 90% of what pulls on your heartstrings was only designed to get you to crack open. It was never to find a solution for the kid or the problem. It was designed for you to be like, enough is enough. So from you experiencing that, it tells me where you are vibrationally and like you're sick and you're like ready to birth no matter at what cost. And that's what women have to do is we have to get to that point where we're so sick of being pregnant, right? That we're willing to go through the birthing experience. And I will tell you that there is a birthing experience. You are birthing your new world out of you. It isn't going to be delivered to you. So if you wait and you continue to do things that drain your energy and time, okay, then you will be in the vibration of waiting. Because this is where 5D, you guys, is choose your own adventure. But you cannot choose your adventure if your soul is playing an album where thought forms, entities, and parasites are on the album, because that they're thinking and feeling and vibrating. So it is mixing in with your soul's vibration, and it is lowering your stock. Because think about like this, something I'm going to share in Decode the Class. The vibration of shame is between 15 and 20 hertz, really low. And you got to look at numerology here. So if I have a parasite in my body, but I've been actively working through letting go of like emotional shame, okay? And so I'm not carrying a lot of shame, but I'm still manifesting a reality that makes me feel shame. That's because the soul vibration could be 777, which is like playtime, it's like jackpot. And then you've got thought forms, traumatic entities, and parasitic frequencies in your field that are bringing your vibration down to like 100. Because you got to do the math here. This is why it's like we didn't necessarily create all of this on our own. We did it through hypnosis, but we still are responsible for cleaning our field between worlds. And like I've told you guys so many times, most of the time we do this in our life review. So when you die, you do all of this cleanup in your life review with your spirit guides. But you don't have nerve endings, you're not carrying a body, so you don't have a hormonal reaction to any of this. You're like, oh, clean it all up, and then you upgrade, okay? Or you downgrade depending on what you're stuck in. Okay, so again, in the reincarnation loop, when you die, you'll go through a life review. This time we're doing life review in body, which is like chaos. Okay, but the number 5 represents chaos. So in order for you to be able to choose your own adventure, you've got to be the dominant thinker, feeler, and speaker in your field. You can't have all of these avoided entities and this pushed away abandonment and rejection in your field and focus on love and light. That's what's got us into this mess, is our own avoidance to the field, our field. We've been trying to wait for the big field to come in and save us, and we might as well drink the Kool-Aid, because it doesn't happen that way. Like, once you know better, you have to be better. And everything you've bought into is like, okay, I bought into that belief system, so now I have stock in that, which means I'm carrying that energy. And how you do it is not just, it's very little thinking. It's a lot of being and doing based on the beingness. So like the things that you will be doing will be night and day of what you did before, the way you clean this system out. Because remember, you've got as above, so below. So whatever negativity in the spirit has been created from being in the matrix has actually become physical in the physical body. And so that trash has to be taken out. Otherwise, it's going to continue to vibrate. And it's going to keep the soul out of the body, because the body's like, I'm not coming in there in a dirty house. Don't invite me in your hoarder's house. I cannot live in a dirty home. So we got to clean the home up to make space for the prime residents. Nothing worse than buying an album and having one song you like and everything else you're just like, why do I buy the album, right? So again, you can't have that true state of being and field resonance if there's a whole bunch of like ick in the basement or in the attic or in the junk drawer that you think you can avoid and get there. But what's so cool about this is when you decide, I'm just going to do it, the whole universe shows up to help you. But it's almost like, how am I going to do this all by myself? You're never supposed to do this by yourself. Like I said, nature will do 80% of it, the elements. How you speak to water, how you speak to fire, how you speak to the earth, it's all going to help you, because everything is at the service to the child of God, which means the ground is here to work for you. The water is here to work for you. The fire is here to work for you. But if you're not acting as the fifth element, then you feel the effect of those elements. You feel like fire can hurt you, or the water is too harsh, or something like that. So this is like shift of perspective. So it's like, soon as you say, I don't care how hard or difficult this birthing is going to be, I'm going for it. It's not that hard. Because again, as soon as I decided that I was going to be all in, I'm like, even if I have to do this alone, blah, blah, so much help showed up that I could not have even dreamed up. And so what I thought was going to be really hard and heavy has actually been therapeutic rebuilding and intervention of my own inner relationships. It's like a homecoming. And nothing feels better than sleeping in a clean house. Clean sheets, everything where it needs to be. Like, that's peace. Okay? Now, you don't need the Decode and Mirror class to do this, but you got to take this to heart and soul and realize that if you really want to get to 5D, it can't be a thinking, feeling process. It has to be a knowing, feeling process that then you think. You're working from the opposite direction because remember, you're planted in the ground, so you're going to be working from the root up. The crown is where your ego's been. So if you actually think you're going to go from that place and go down, that's not the way it's going to work. Okay? It's actually going to be from recalibrating from the ground up. We're going to build heaven from the ground up. And each time you remove thought forms and entities from your body, not only will your energy increase, your whole thinking mind changes because they were the ones that were thinking it. Okay? If I have a trauma that's based in shame and I create entities that now live in shame, shame is going to be mixed in everything I think because I am that I am. Okay? So I'm going to leave you guys there and just like, you could be like, this class didn't resonate at all with me. Perfect. Whoever got a nugget, that's all I'm showing up for. Because I know why we are all so far away is a specific plan. And why I think my following has not grown is because the seeds are a completely different anomaly. They are not the million follower, like those are the whistleblowers, right? Those are the ones that are either there to trigger you or glimmer you into the awareness of sovereignty. Like going through the sovereign's like journey is the walk through the wilderness. Everyone's got to walk. So again, you come in here and you get masked up, all these masks that you have to wear to survive here. And then you actually have to start at the beginning and unmask. So you have to go back to every time you've abandoned and rejected yourself and recalibrate that frequency, which does not take therapy. It does not take like journaling and shadow work. It takes a decision, it takes intention, and it takes a different way to show up, which means choosing more things that are joyful while shame tells you you should be doing something else. Oh, there's the shadow. Because there's no shame in your soul. Your soul put you through the exact hell that it needed to put you through so you would know how to do what you're supposed to do in the second half. It's just like we have this player, Mahomes, that's on our team in the Chiefs, and he is just notorious, which is a metaphor, for just like ruining the game, not singularly, but just the Chiefs suck until the second quarter, and then they come back with this like victory. And it's like, that's the staple of our team. It's like, we suck. And then all of a sudden we take a break and we come back and we just like, we glory it, or at least it was for a few years, to show you the metaphor. Okay. So like everything that's happened has been so deliberate, which means even all of the shit like, if you build a new house, there's going to be shit to clean up at the end before you want to put the furniture in. Like, but there's going to be the mess, and you were never worried about that. But see, the last few sparks of the matrix are telling you from the love and light community and the fake spiritual community that you're supposed to be seeking pleasure, and pain means you're doing it wrong. But if you told me that, and I've had 4 children, I would say the opposite is true. You get pregnant and you literally hold space for this seed you're inside of you, and then you have to have your birthing experience, and that's when your life begins with that child being born. But your life is different after before that. Before that, your life is different. When that baby comes, it's all different. Some of you never experienced real love until that baby was born, and then you're like, this is what I came for. Right? So you understand that we've never truly known love yet in the way that it actually is, because we have vibrating opposite frequencies of absence of love stuck in our field. So clean it out and use one of the fastest proactive ways to do that is to focus on your highest joy, not your avoidance. Because look at the word avoid. It means you're going to be in the void. Whatever you avoid is going to keep you in a void. So just know that. All right. I don't mean you're going to go pay the debt. All debts are washed in the kingdom. Any life you played in the matrix is going to be amended if you do your inner work. Okay. Responsibility is the ability to respond, not to play the matrix's game. So the less you participate out there and the more you participate in your own family intervention, then the faster you experience heaven on earth. But first you will experience it inside of you. As above, so within, is within, without. This is why I like kind of hammered the 7 hermetic laws at you guys for a while, because you're going to be the masterpiece in the mess for a little bit of time, and then those are going to collapse into each other, and the genius will be born, or whatever bloom you're going to be. And you have probably no idea what that looks like, but you will be, of course, that's me. It's not going to be like, oh, that's not me. It will be like, that's me. But how many masks you wear will give you the illusion that you would never be able to do that, have that, or be that. So, of course, that's going to feel far away, which keeps people from doing the inner work. Because some egos say, well, I have to know what it's going to look like over there before I do this. That's fine. Those are the seeds that are going to stay underground. And that's perfect. There is no judgment in that. There is no shame in that. You know, some kids walk faster and have to, you know, they just go for it. And then there's some kids that literally need to wait a while and watch everybody walk for a while before they feel safe to walk. So it's going to depend on, like, I think what it's going to depend on is how uncomfortable you are. If you are done, like how Morris expressed, it's just going to be just a change of direction from outside to inside. All right. Okay, guys, love you. And the Decode the Mirror class, you guys, I'm probably going to give you the worksheets that I created early, just because we're like at the sweet spot right now. On the 16th, the sun is going to really flip, and it's going to start giving all these new downloads to the people that can accept it. Okay, so the more open your field is, the more you'll be able to receive downloads, coordinates, and upgrades. On the 16th, that's kind of why I kind of want to give it to you guys early, because you can start working on purifying your fields very quickly by basically doing very little. Because this is not an action game. It's a decision, intention, expression game from here on out. Choose your own adventure or have it be chosen for you. There's only 2 options. And you'll keep the matrix alive as long as you are in resistance, avoidance, or disassociation of it. So the more you hate it, the more you're stuck to it. The more you judge it, the more you're stuck to it. This is why I would highly avoid going down the conspiracy theory lines right now, unless you need more proof to let go. If you need more proof to let go, go see what's happening in the algorithm. But if you are just done being bored to death with your own unfulfilled potential, then it might be time for you to have the death of the seed so you can bloom. Okay? Love you guys. See you later. Bye.